This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
There it is. Hey, everybody. It is the After Party Live, and I'm grateful you could make it. And thank you for waiting, and happy almost Thanksgiving. I got a really, really nice message from Lee Kopp, and I wanted to share that with you, which I will do in just a moment. We have some great stories in here today, including what the shape of your derriere says about your health. Interesting new study about your bottom. So we'll talk about that. But before we get to the science and the studies and the nitty-gritty of the After Party Live, please click the like button. Please click the subscribe button. And yesterday, I did not go through the most recent PayPal contributions. So I wanted to say thank you to James S., Suanne S., Nancy V., and Joyce M. Huge thank you for the most recent contributions to this show via PayPal. All of those recurring monthly payments. So thank you for your monthly contribution to the show. It just means so, so very much. Okay, I got this email I want to read you from Lee, our viewer listener in the South Bay, who has been lovely enough to provide tickets to symphonies and events in San Jose as prizes for the show. Thank you for contributing to the show that way. But here's a wonderful message from Lee. And this is a picture of Lee's dad, who worked in news at a CBS station. And I love this picture. Your dad is beautiful. And look at that professional broadcaster there in the suit with the old microphone. Just really lovely picture. Thank you for sharing that. Lee writes, my list of things that I am thankful for is likely not that much different from a lot of people. I'm thankful for my family, my friends, my health, mostly okay. But I'm also thankful for my freedom. And I am thankful, he says, for you. My dad was a news reporter, radio news director, a stringer for Voice of America. He passed away with a transistor radio. This is going to make me cry. A transistor radio tuned to KGO next to his bed. He taught me the importance of the news, a newspaper at the door every day, discussing the news with friends and family, especially when we disagreed. You hold a place in that part of my life, and I am better for what you do. Not a lot of people ever said thank you to my dad for doing his daily job. So let me say thank you for being for the part you play in my life. And happy Thanksgiving, Lee. Oh, all the feels rushing to my heart. Thank you so much, Lee, for the lovely words, for the sentiment in your email, for the thank you, for the story of your dad. From his career to him listening to KGO up until the very end, and for sending the picture. Happy Thanksgiving to you. I'm thankful that you found us here on YouTube and that you're such a big part of the show, you and Eileen. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I do want to say that over the next few days on the Mark Thompson Show, we are going to have some videos dropping, some interviews that Mark has done in the last couple months with some people. So on Thursday, tomorrow, you will find on the interwebs, on the YouTube, Dennis Brennan. He wrote a book where he compares Donald Trump to Aaron Burr. I don't know if the comparison is exactly one that, you will agree with, but the interview is interesting, and that drops tomorrow. Then you'll find Judy Karofsky, who talks to Mark about assisted living and hospice, the changes that need to be made in that industry, as you could call it. And then on Saturday, an interview will drop with Bob Innes, who set up a website to kind of spoof on hitmen, and people took it seriously and started contacting him, taking out hits on their loved ones. And he started working with the police and still does it. So we'll drop that interview on Saturday. So while the shows will be dark tomorrow and Friday, there will be pre-recorded content, I should say, up for your perusal on YouTube. All right. I first want to show you this crazy picture. Look at this ledge of a hotel. There's a coyote up there. How did that happen? This coyote caused a bit of a scene on the ledge outside of a hotel in Florida. Looked like the animal was stranded outside this Florida hotel. So that all of a sudden a bunch of onlookers were on the street below pointing up, look at the coyote. The police called out, but the coyote ended up finding its own way off the building. The animal spotted about 10:30 yesterday in the morning at the Denison parking garage, which is adjacent to the Luminary Hotel in downtown Fort Myers, Florida. A witness apparently attempted to chase the coyote away from the scene, but this is when the coyote fled to the second story ledge outside the building. Who could blame it with someone chasing it, right? So the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission personnel came out. They say eventually the coyote hopped over a barrier on its own and returned to the interior of the garage. They stood back, monitored, and the coyote left the area. It was last seen heading into the woods nearby. So there you go. Mm, what a picture. Another story I wanted to bring to you, and this one is about the shape of your rear end. I know, look at all those butts on the yoga mats. The shape of your rear end could apparently help predict some things medically about you. Shrinkage or inflammation of the gluteus maximus muscles of the buttocks may reflect frailty, sitting time, fat deposition, diabetes risk, and these changes could occur differently between men and women. This is a British team who did this study. They are presenting the information next week at the annual meeting of the Radiological Society of North America in Chicago. So, not a full blown published peer reviewed study yet. But they said, unlike past studies that mainly looked at muscle size or fat, they used 3D shape mapping to pinpoint exactly where the muscle changes are or were, giving a much more detailed picture. The study done by a senior research fellow at the University of Westminster's Research Centre for Optimal Health in London. So, in the study, the team examined more than 61,000 MRI scans collected in the UK Biobank database. They had detailed information on the biobank participants' physical measurements, medical histories, and lifestyles. And it allowed the team to look at 86 different variables and track associations with the changes in the butt muscle over those times. The researchers said people with a higher fitness, measured by vigorous physical activity and hand grip strength, had a greater gluteus maximus shape while aging. Frailty and long sitting times were linked to muscle thinning. Men, designated as being frail, showed greater thinning of the gluteus maximus compared to frail women, which makes sense if you think about it, right? So it's like the guy with no butt. When it came to people diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, the gluteus or the glutes of males showed a pronounced thinning, whereas women showed enlarged muscle mass in their glutes, perhaps due to the infiltration of fat within the tissues. But all of it suggests that the shape of the buttocks, rather than the size, is more closely tied to underlying metabolic changes in the body. Sex differences in the buttock shape also suggest the disease could impact the biological responses of men and women differently, which could especially be true in the case of type 2 diabetes. And this team says, as one of the largest muscles on the human body, the gluteus maximus may play a crucial role in metabolic health. Because the findings were presented at a medical meeting, they should be considered preliminary until they're published in a peer-reviewed journal. So, interesting. Are you in the mirror now looking at your, what shape is my butt? What's it look like back there? Have you heard of this? I had to go on the internet before the show. You wondered what the hell she's doing over there. To find a pronouncer for this, because I've never heard of this before. This is, and I'll play the pronouncer for you. It's called a seiche.
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 Seiche is a wave that oscillates in lakes, bays, or gulfs from a few minutes to a few hours as a result of either a seismic or atmospheric disturbance. It could be a short period standing wave oscillation of the water level in a lake, a wave on the surface of a lake or landlocked bay caused by atmospheric or seismic disturbance.
Seiche.
Seiche is the way you pronounce it. I know. Why do I bring it up? A rare seiche is causing a hurricane-like surge on Lake Erie. So immediately my mind goes to David K. Johnston because according to the story, people living on the east shore of Lake Erie may see the lake's water level rise into their yards and onto the roads Wednesday night. Residents on the west shore of Lake Erie will watch the lake water recede far away from them. It's called a seiche, and it's expected to happen tonight. Lake Erie's water level at Buffalo, I think, isn't David K. Johnston in Rochester? The water level at Buffalo is forecast to rise up to 5 to 6 feet higher than before the storm. At Toledo, Ohio, on the lake's west side, levels will drop 5 to 6 feet from the levels of last night. The highest and lowest points expected to occur around 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm fascinated by this. What happens? How does this work? A seiche happens when strong, persistent winds push water toward one side of a lake or other enclosed body of water. The stronger and longer the winds blow, the more pronounced the rise and fall become. And when the winds eventually subside, the water slicks back and forth, similar to water moving in a bathtub. So on Lake Erie, the largest seiches happen when the high winds blow from southwest to northeast, and that matches the orientation of the lake. The water pushed northeastward by high winds, and then it sloshes back in the other direction and continues to oscillate at lower levels. This can happen on any body of water, any smaller body of water. They say witnessing a seiche is like looking at the storm surge and waves from a hurricane. When seiches happen during winter, they add heavy snow and ice into the mix on top of the flood threat. There is a video posted looking at the rise of water and debris from a seiche at Buffalo, New York from 2022, along with high waves and heavy winds. So I didn't realize I had video, but I do. And so I'm going to play it for you so we can watch the effects of a rare seiche together. And here is what it looks like. It's really loud, isn't it? Yikes. I'll turn it down a little bit. Maybe don't stand so close to the seiche. I don't know. That looks pretty scary. Look at that. Yikes. So that's what it is. Oh. So that's the effect of a seiche, and that is what is happening this evening in along Lake Erie, New York, Ohio, affected by this. Yeah, I don't know if it'll be quite as dramatic as what we just saw in the video, but certainly not something you want to go out and mess around with, I wouldn't think. So this is happening. The peak is supposed to be at 7 p.m. this evening along Lake Erie. They say because of the increased water levels, already destructive waves can reach new heights. If the lake has partial ice coverage, damage can also occur as waves throw the ice toward the shore. Some damage from seiches can be similar to storm surge from a hurricane. The largest known seiche on Lake Erie was a 22-foot event that killed 77 people, dammed Niagara Falls with ice, temporarily stopped the waterfall from flowing. What? Really? More recently, a 16-foot seiche flooded homes in Buffalo in 2008. All my life, I never heard of such a thing. Maybe because I'm more concerned with the king tides here on the coast. I don't know. Uh-oh. Hope everything's okay with Sue Ann. Oh, has a doctor's appointment. All right. Well, we wish you good luck with that. Hope everything's okay. Yeah. Um, looking at the chat, what you guys have to say about this. Let's see. Oh yeah, talking about politics. I see what you guys have to say. Maybe you're not affected by the seiche. I just feel interested in learning about it because I never heard about it before. Yeah. A seiche. Has anyone ever been through one? Yeah, Yvonne says never heard of it. Ice too. I know. A seiche. Yeah. So that's going on in New York. Rev P said I had a great butt, then health problems, and I lost my butt. You probably didn't lose your butt. You probably just think you did. All right, we'll move forward to the next story about these kids. Look at them, those Paris smarties. They are two college students who are building a robot, and the robot is intended to be used to replant burned forests. That's Marta Bernardino on the left. On the right, Sebastio Mendonca, and they invented this robot called Trovador. It is a 6-legged AI-powered robot that can plant trees in hard-to-reach wildfire-damaged terrain. They're 19 years old, these kids. They lived right by the edge of a forest. They said it was the backdrop of their childhood, like living in a playground where we built worlds, a sanctuary where the concepts of importance were felt rather than taught. They grew up near Lisbon, and they always believed that the forest would be a constant in their lives. But they said every year they watched as fires ravaged the forest not far from their homes, leaving nothing but gray hillsides and charred ruins behind. So to revive the forest, they are creating Trovador, which is this robot that's capable of reaching and reforesting areas where humans have been unable to go and replant. The state of the forests in Portugal, the subject of study. One atmospheric scientist at the University of Lisbon said that between 1980 and 2023, more than 1.2 million acres burned in wildfires across mainland Portugal, 54% of its territory. Just in 2017 alone, that country had 32,000 acres of tree cover loss, wildfires accounting for 75% of that destruction. The country of Portugal is the southern European nation most affected by wildfires. So these two kids, trying to understand the methods used for reforestation and the reason behind the slow recovery of the forest near their homes, they said the initial passive hope that nature would heal itself was shattered when they learned the soil was too damaged and the fires too frequent for recovery. There were volunteers and community members trying to revive burned forests, but it was physically impossible to reach the vulnerable parts on the steep, treacherous slopes. And that's when they had this idea that the terrain itself is the enemy, making manual replanting dangerous and sometimes impossible. So, the inspiration was no longer a feeling of loss, but a clear-eyed recognition of a flawed system. From looking at volunteer planting to drone seed dropping, everything was failing to really meet the complexity of the problem. And more than 60% of the forests in Portugal are on steep, rugged terrain where labor is scarce and planting is unsafe. The tractors can't handle the slopes and they compact the soil. Using heavy vehicles for reforesting can disturb the oxygen and water supply to plants. The drone-based aerial seeding was a viable alternative, but the technique also has its own challenges. So they decided they were going to move forward with this solution to build Troubadour. It can walk on rugged slopes and it can plant trees. They built a $17 prototype from recycled parts, and it planted 28% faster than humans with a 90% survival rate. The saplings thrived without any post-planting care. So now they're working to improve the efficiency of this robot, and they hope the current prototype is able to handle longer operations on steeper terrains. They said, we build all-terrain robots that carry baby trees on their backs and plant them autonomously across difficult terrain. And they were really surprised that so much interest was put on this project. As a top finalist for National Geographic's 2024 Slingshot Challenge, they won a $10,000 grant. The invention featured in the magazine as one of the world's most promising youth-led climate solutions. On the tech side, the robotics world took notice as well. They were the youngest ever to receive Europe's top award for robotics for sustainability. This hexapod robot is capable of climbing slopes up to 45 degrees, detecting and simultaneously avoiding any boulders in its way. It's equipped to carry and plant up to 200 saplings an hour. And unlike using a tractor, it makes barely an indent in the ground because of its light movement, preserving pore space for air and water in the soil. There's a depth camera attached. It maps any obstacles, allows it to slightly adapt its trajectory in real time, and it uses AI and sensors to analyze the pH and the humidity of the soil, after which it follows a 3-step dig, place, tamp sequence. Dig, place, tamp, to plant the rooted saplings instead of the seeds. The sequence, they say, is validated to hit up to 85 to 90% survival in field trials and in literature as well. There are built-in sensors, so Troubadour uploads real-time data like GPS coordinates of each plant, soil humidity, battery life up to the cloud, and then it allows the team member to monitor this robot remotely. They also are able to analyze the soil, and the robot will be trained to skip dry ground and steer planting to micro niches with better odds. And they might try to bring this robot to market as well. They say the concept of a 6-legged robot designed to move across steep slopes and dense vegetation offers a really good solution for reforestation in areas that are difficult for people to access. So, a pretty great invention from these two. Speaking of robots and AI and this kind of thing, they're doing something a little different in the UK. It's called Bobby on the Beat. RoboCop, anyone? It's powered by AI, and the chief superintendent describes the trial of UK's first AI-powered police virtual assistant as a very exciting time. They hope that this will allow their staff to focus on emergencies and complex and sensitive issues. So this is the first virtual assistant for the police in the UK, powered by artificial intelligence, and 2 police forces are now using it on a trial basis. They call it Bobby, B-O-B-B-I. It interacts like a human, and it helps answer frequently asked questions, but it isn't designed to be used in emergencies. You would think just the recording on the police phone, like if you're trying to file an accident report, please push 1. If you want to get your records or whatever, please push 2. You would think that would be enough. The spokesman for the police says you can't use the technology to report a crime or as an alternative to calling the emergency line. But they did test Bobby. 200 people used it during its development. And it uses the same guidelines and information available to human call handlers to make suggestions and recommendations. And if it can't answer your question, or if somebody wants to speak to a real person and not the AI Bobby, then they'll be automatically redirected to a real life operator. How many people, when they're calling police and Bobby comes on the phone, immediately push 0? Get me to a real person. They say this is an exciting time. They also say empathy, common sense, and that intangible gut instinct are some of the many human skills that need to guide our interactions with the public in our time of need. By providing quick responses to commonly asked non-emergency questions, Bobby is expected to enhance service to communities, ensuring that every member of the public gets the help they need when they need it. So they do admit Bobby is still a work in progress. They're trying to work out some bugs, comply with regulations. I don't know about you, but it seems like whenever I come into contact with AI, it makes some pretty big mistakes. Like you have to really look over the AI and make sure that there's no errors. I don't know. We'll see how Bobby does. I guess we have to start somewhere. So there it is. Since the shows are dark for the next 4 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, even with the, in a live fashion, maybe we can test this one out. The story is that week-long social media breaks are associated with improved mental health. So when you check out from social media for a week, or in this case, 4 days, maybe we have a better outlook. Maybe we feel a little bit, I don't know, lighter and airier. For a lot of young adults, it's where, well, for a lot of us in general, we get friendship news and news and stress and all kinds of things on our social media. But there's this new study suggesting that stepping away, even for just 1 week, can help ease anxiety, depression, sleep problems. It's interesting because when I step away from social media for a couple days, or for some reason I don't look at it, or I'm busy or doing whatever, it's like it gets out of being a habit, and all of a sudden I don't feel compelled to check it as much. In this study, researchers tracked 295 young adults aged 18 to 24 who agreed to limit their social media for 7 days. Each participant was paid $150 to be in this study. And they shrank their screen time from just under 2 hours a day on social platforms down to 30 minutes a day. After the week ended, participants completed mental health surveys. And on average, the researchers found anxiety symptoms dropped by more than 16%, depression symptoms dropped by more than 24%, insomnia symptoms dropped by more than 14%. This study is published in the JAMA Network Open. It was published on Monday, and it showed the biggest improvement in people who already had more serious depression symptoms. Now, people didn't report changes in loneliness at all, but cutting back on social media, they say, did show an improvement, although they say it shouldn't be your first line or your only form of care. That if you're struggling with a mental health condition and you have a treatment already, it's likely worth experimenting to see whether reducing social media helps you feel better. But they say the results are not a guarantee for everyone. Some people in the study felt much better. Some people noticed little change. But the averages are what was encouraging there. The people volunteered to take part, so they might have expected to have improvements before the trial. It wasn't randomized. They said the subjects would have known how they were expected to behave and likely simply changed their responses accordingly. So some people aren't buying the results of the study. Still, others say this is something useful to add to the ongoing conversation about social media and mental health. So, I don't know, never bad to cut back on screen time, right? Get involved in real life. Speaking of real life, here's the lotto of the day. This is a story about a hunter in Kentucky. He was passing the time in his deer stand by playing online lottery games to the point that he rejected a call from his son because he was too caught up in playing the lottery. He told lottery officials he was waiting for some deer to show up when he decided to pass the time with the lottery's Wolf Ridge Jackpots online game. Here's the quote. I'm in the deer stand. I was sitting there and I thought, you know what? I'm going to try. I got on there and I won $1,500 and I added another $200 to my account. He said his game kept being interrupted by calls from family members. He said it was making me mad because it was freezing up my phone from playing. Then my son tries to call. I decline it. And the next thing, I hit. The sound is kind of a rumbling sound. I can't play it anymore. I'm like, there ain't no way that this is echoing through the woods. The rumbling sound turned out to be the man scoring $1.1 million of a prize off a $30 wager. So in the middle of the woods, after winning 1.1 mil, the man called his wife and sent her a photo to confirm his win. She said, I thought he was calling to tell me he got a big buck. Oh, he got a big buck, all right. The player said he was overwhelmed when his wife confirmed what he was seeing on his phone screen. I couldn't believe it. We're both crying and stressing out, he said. I probably would have fallen out of the deer stand that drops 30 to 40 feet into the holler. They said their windfall will go toward buying a new home and sharing with other family members. He said, it's pretty awesome. I can tell you that right now. You go out, sit in the woods, and then all of a sudden you look down. And like I told her, he said, took me 50 years to become a millionaire all at once. Only in Kentucky. So there you go. Did you hear about this story? Oh, muggered. This is a lady being taken to the hospital after she woke up from being dead and nearly went into the crematorium to be cremated, which is why you would go into a crematorium, right? This lady was brought in for cremation at a Thai temple, 65 years old. She was taken to this Buddhist temple on the outskirts of Bangkok after she appeared to stop breathing 2 days earlier. Her family traveled hundreds of miles with her body in a coffin, and they were preparing for her to be cremated. But moments before the service began, they heard a faint knock coming from inside the coffin. The manager of the temple, his name is Paret Suthup, said, I was a bit surprised, so I asked them, could you please open that coffin? And everyone was startled. I saw her opening her eyes, he said, slightly and knocking on the side of the coffin. She must have been knocking for quite some time. The cremation was due to be live streamed by the temple. The woman in question, Chantharat Sakulu, said she was brought in by her brother. The brother said she'd been bedridden for 2 years before her health deteriorated further and she became unresponsive, appearing to have stopped breathing. So the brother put her in the coffin and drove her 300 miles from their home to the capital in Bangkok. The woman's brother had been told by local officials that his sister had died. The woman wished to donate her organs to a hospital in the Thai capital, but his brother was turned away because he didn't have the right paperwork. So instead, he goes to this temple because they offer a free cremation service. After this woman is discovered alive, she was assessed and sent to a hospital where she was treated for hypoglycemia before being released back to her brother. He was asked how he felt to learn his sister was still alive, and apparently he was indifferent, according to the newspaper. The temple is going to cover her medical expenses. Could you even imagine? What a total nightmare. Oh my gosh. Hopefully she was so out of it she didn't even realize what was happening there. But that, well, she was knocking, so I don't know. Pretty scary, pretty crazy story. Okay, I'm going to the chat. Take a look at what you have to say here. Don't buy a coffin at Costco, people. Would you ever trust that brother again? No. 100% no. Rhonda says, happens all the time. It's why they invented embalming to stop it. Oh, no. Don't say that. Really? It seems to me when you're declared dead most of the time, right? Phineas says, jail that doctor that pronounced her dead. He just put her in the coffin himself without confirming that she was actually dead? This is a weird story. Yeah, who has a coffin just sitting around? Would you go buy a coffin and put your loved one in it? Don't you? I guess in other countries they do things differently. Here, if someone you love in your home passes away, or anyone passes away in your home, if you love them or not, you would call the authorities and they would come out, and there would be a medical professional who would make the declaration. Then they would take them to the morgue. There would be some kind of thing done. The person would be in the morgue for a while, is my point, before they would ever end up in a coffin, right? What if they embalm you and that kills you and you weren't dead originally, said Phineas. Sandy says, don't you have to call a coroner to confirm that someone's actually dead? In America, apparently, not in Thailand. Yvonne says, well, she was in bed for 2 years. Yeah. I'd be willing to bet my lunch that alcohol was involved. I don't know. But what a freaky story. I'll tell you. That one got me. So remember that NASA, we'll switch into science now. The NASA Starliner, it's now only going to be used to carry cargo to the first mission for space. Boeing's Starliner aircraft will only fly cargo to the International Space Station after the contract that NASA had with Boeing was changed. It also cut the number of missions for this craft as well. Originally, they said there would be 6 crewed flights to the space station after that successful uncrewed flight test, and now they're cutting it to 4 missions. The other 2 will just be options. Last year, Starliner flew to the space station with a couple of astronauts aboard. They were supposed to stay for 8 days, but issues with the Starliner made it unsafe for them to return, so they ended up staying for 9 months, and SpaceX had to bring them down. NASA and Boeing are continuing, they say, to rigorously test the Starliner propulsion system in preparation for 2 flights next year, but now only cargo. They screwed up so badly. They couldn't bring their people back. Now they're only trusted with stuff, not humans. Scientists, by the way, speaking of space, have, they say, seen dark matter for the very first time. Dark matter is the stuff that holds the solar systems or the universes or the universe together, is what they say. And they've been able to indirectly, scientists, observe dark matter based on its effects. Now, with the help of a space-based NASA telescope, the scientists have detected dark matter itself, and they published their findings in a study in the Journal of Cosmology and Astroparticle Physics. So, a Swiss astronomer describes it much better than I. Dark matter, he said, is a type of invisible scaffolding that holds galaxies together as they move through space faster than their mass should be capable of allowing. So they used it, scientists, a decade and a half of data collected by NASA's Fermi Gamma Ray Space Telescope. And they say they have detected the invisible scaffolding based on gamma rays that result from the collision and resulting annihilation of two dark matter particles. This is very sciencey, but the scientists say they have detected gamma rays with a photon energy of 20 giga electron volts, or 20 billion electron volts, which is a really large amount of energy, extending to a halo-like structure toward the center of the Milky Way galaxy. The gamma ray emission component closely matches the shape expected from the dark matter halo. Previously, they had theorized that dark matter is made up of weakly interacting massing particles. They call them WIMPs, which generally don't interact with other matter. When they collide, though, the collision had been predicted to annihilate both particles and release others, which includes gamma ray protons. So, that's what they think is going on. If it's correct, this would mark the first time that humanity has seen dark matter, the thing that holds our galaxies together. That's pretty cool. You know what else is cool? I'm just showing you this because I love this picture. This amethyst geode weighs more than 1,000 pounds. She's a big mama. Fossils, purple geodes, and more hitting the auction block during Heritage Nature and Science auction on December 2nd. It's being called an exceptional event with every lot from the same consignor. Collections like this, with this level of quality and variety, rarely reach the collecting market. From fossils to meteorites to minerals to lapidary arts, the auction has treasures that will appeal to collectors of all kinds. So among them, this amethyst geode with calcite crystal. It's from Uruguay. A giant gem weighing in at 1,933 pounds. It's 44 inches long. The calcite crystal stands 10 inches high, and the amethyst crystals are considered to be gem quality. The geodes like this one form within volcanic vugs, or hollow cavities that are created by ancient gas bubbles within solidified lava. More than 1,000 years of mineral-rich hydrothermal fluids percolate into these voids, bringing in layers of iron and silica that crystallize under the immense heat and pressure from the Earth's core and mantle to form the amethyst purple hue. And that is on sale. No estimate for how much this thing will go for, but that's a pretty cool geode. 1,933 pounds. God, that's really cool. I love that picture. And that is what I have for you on the After Party Live. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I want you to know that I am thankful for this community, that I am thankful for each and every one of you for being here every day, for supporting this show, for supporting Mark's show and Nikki's show in all the various ways you do. It could be showing up all the time. It could be leaving comments on the recorded version of the show. It could be sending stories. It could be a financial contribution. Whatever way in which you are part of this show, thank you. And thank you for allowing me the privilege of getting to know you. Luis says, wishing you and your families a wonderful Thanksgiving to all my after party friends. He throws down a 5, much needed. Thank you, Luis. Thankful for you. Thankful for all of you. Thank you so much. And happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I really hope you have a lovely one. And please do remember that we do have the videos from the Mark Thompson Show dropping. So if you're not taking that social media break, you will find the videos every day from Mark Thompson. It's him talking to people, the videos, usually under a half hour in length. And one will drop each of the next 3 days. So that'll be really fun. All right. Until we meet again on Monday at 11 a.m., where we'll have Sarah Kenzier and Gary Dietrich and Karen Dawn with Dawn Watch, all on the show on Monday on the Mark Thompson Show. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving and a warm and cozy weekend. And I will see you right back here on YouTube in just a few days. Bye, everybody.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
Tiny bubbles in the wine makes me happy, makes me feel fun. Tiny bubbles makes me warm all over with the feeling that I'm gonna love you till the end of time.
Oh, Ren, look at you. I'm thankful for you too. Thank you, Ren and Cameo, for the 20. Appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving to you both. Sorry to put the butts up during your comment, Jane.